Should you become a freelancer or a solopreneur? Should you pursue the self-employment path? In today's video, I'm going to help you determine whether that is the right career choice for you or not. So there are pros and cons to freelancing, and I'm not going to discuss every single advantage and disadvantage of freelancing in today's video, but I am going to give you a brief overview of some of the main things and reasons why I chose to freelance, and I will give you some insight on some of the negative sides of it, and then I'm going to share with you a little quiz that you can take while you're watching this video that's going to help you determine whether freelancing is right for you or not. So you might currently be working in a full-time job, maybe you don't enjoy it, maybe you do, and if you're watching this video, obviously some part of you considered at one point that maybe freelancing is an option for you, or maybe you didn't call it freelancing, maybe you called it start a business, or maybe you called it getting a side gig, or maybe you called it becoming a solopreneur or an entrepreneur. Basically, at some point in your life, you have had the thought, what would it be like to work for myself? What would it be like to not have an employer? What would it be like to work from home? And now you're watching this video hoping that maybe this video will give you some insight into whether that's the right career path for you or not. So I'm going to share with you some reasons why I chose to freelance and a little bit about my story and my freelance journey and bringing me to where I am today, because there were some ups and downs for sure. And then I'm going to share with you some questions that you can evaluate and ask yourself to determine if it's the right path for you. So first of all, this video is not for people who only intend to freelance on the side, where you're passionate about the job that you're in, you're working for a company, you have a particular career path, and you're like, hey, maybe let's shoot photos on the weekend, or maybe I'll go and shoot somebody's wedding every other month or something like that just to get some extra income, but you really have no intention in turning that into a full-time business. This video isn't really for you, because I am here to help people who want to turn their side gig into a full-time career. And not just a full-time career, but a full-time business. And so the tips I share with you today is directed towards those that have some intention, whether it's strong or weak, but you're at least considering the possibility that maybe what you think is just a side gig can become your full-time career, that maybe you might actually enjoy working at home full-time and working for yourself full-time. This is for you. So the first thing you need to understand about freelancing is, one, it's extremely important that you stop calling yourself a freelancer. And I'm going to use that term often, that freelancing, because it's what you use. It's what you understand it to be. And so you'll know what I'm talking about. But I like using the term solopreneur because you really are a business owner, but it's only you. You don't have co-founders. You don't go finding angel investors to invest in your startup business. You're not inventing a product. You have a talent. You have a service that you can sell in exchange for money, and that is your whole business. That's who this is for, and that's why I like the term solopreneur, because you are an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, you're creating a business, but you're on your own. Now, that doesn't mean that you will find success on your own. You still form lots of relationships along the way, but they're not your employees. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my freelancing journey. So I've always wanted to be self-employed. I've always wanted to be independent. I wanted to be an independent filmmaker. And after college, I was too afraid to pursue freelancing. So I took a salary job with one company. And I still felt uneasy about it, even though I was getting a consistent paycheck. I was a video editor full-time for one company. And 5 months into it, I lost my job because that company downsized. And because I only had one company I was working for, because I was an employee, I lost everything all at once. And it was 3 months before my son was born. And so that was hard because I was a new dad. I had a lot of anxiety about that. And my wife wasn't going to work, and she was going to stay at home with our son. And so I all of a sudden had this huge burden of how am I going to provide for my family. And so I considered freelancing. I'm like, okay, well, the risk of going back and getting a full-time job for one company seemed like greater risk than just pursuing freelancing and getting multiple clients, because then if one company fails, well, at least I still have my other clients, right? I still have a source of income. And so I attempted freelancing, but I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, I had no idea. I didn't see it as a business. I didn't see myself as a business owner. I saw me as just a freelancer who was doing stuff on the side, even though I was trying to do it full time. And so the types of clients I was working with, they only saw me as just another employee. They didn't see me as a business, and they thought that I was just somebody that would be willing to work all through the night doing projects last minute. It just wasn't a good situation. And 9 months into that, there was just intense struggle. I was sinking into debt. I was not bringing in enough money to support my family. So I gave up on it. And then I went back to a salary job for a whole nother year. But throughout that whole year, I still felt so uneasy that I was going against what I knew I needed to do. And so I decided to quit that job after a year and attempt freelancing a second time. But this time, I made a list of all the things that I thought went wrong that first time. What was missing? What were my weaknesses? And I reduced that list down into 6 key steps that kind of summarized what I needed to find success as a freelancer. And I was reading books up on it and listening to podcasts and watching YouTube videos. And I needed to sort out my time management. I needed to fix my communication skills. I did not have the communication skills to be able to find quality clients and be able to sell my services and sell myself. And I needed to have better direction. I needed to understand the business of freelancing, which I didn't know anything about that. And so once I discovered what I needed to improve on, I found mentors and teachers. I even hired some people to help me find success as a freelancer and launch my business and really treat it as a business. And within 3 months, I was finally earning consistent, stable, full-time income to support my family, and I was freelancing full-time. And again, I only call it freelancing because that's what you're calling it right now, but I was running a business full-time. I was a business owner selling my services as a video editor, videographer, producer, and it was working. But it was a rough road there. It was a 2-year rough road in figuring out how to actually freelance successfully. And so I tell you that as you're trying to evaluate whether you should freelance or not, one, know that it is an extremely difficult course to take if you don't have the right training, okay? I did not have the right training. I didn't have the right education. I thought that my skill was enough. I was a great video editor. I was a great videographer. I knew how to do my craft that I was selling as a service, but I didn't know how to run a business. And I didn't know how to sell my services. I didn't know how to communicate my value properly. And so I was setting really low rates as if I was an employee getting paid a wage, which is totally different because I wasn't getting any benefits and I was paying extra taxes and I had extra overhead I was covering. And it just, I didn't have the right training. And so my hope with this YouTube channel is to give you training and education so that you can go into freelancing more safely than I did, so you can avoid sinking into, I think it was $25,000 of debt, and you can just safely transition out of a full-time job into freelancing. And so I don't tell you my story to scare you away from freelancing. I tell you my story to kind of show you that if you don't get the right training and education about how to make freelancing really work as a full-time career and business, then it will be a huge struggle. And your talent, whatever that is that you're selling, is not going to be enough. And it's going to really put a strain on you and your family. And so the hopeful side is there's education out there, including this channel. And you can get training, and you can get education, and you can get all of that while you have your full-time job, while you're still paying your bills with your current job. And then when you're ready, you can start to transition safely into applying what you've learned so that you can actually start earning money on the side and then increase that up until eventually you're doing it full time. So maybe my story was enough to help you decide whether freelancing was right for you or not. But if it wasn't, I'm going to give you a quick quiz, 10 questions that you can ask yourself that will help you determine if freelancing is right for you. So each question is going to be a rating system. There's 10 questions, so go ahead and take notes. And after I ask the question, you can pause the video, think about it for a little bit, and then write down your number of how strong you agree with that phrase, whether it's a 10 being really strong or 1 being really weak. And then at the end of the quiz, we're going to add up your points, and I'll tell you how to score it and how to evaluate your points, and then you'll know where you stand whether freelancing is going to be a good choice for you or not. So question number 1 is, with your current job, whether it's part-time or full-time, how excited are you going to work every day? 1 being not excited at all, 10 being just ecstatic, you love your job. That's your first question. Question number 2, how much do you see yourself enjoying working at home? So think about your house right now, whether it's an apartment or a bigger house. Think about whether you have family that's there during the day. Think about all the situations around your home right now and ask yourself, would you enjoy working at home? 10 being totally would enjoy it, 1 being you wouldn't enjoy it at all, and go ahead and give yourself a score. Question number 3, how excited are you of the thought of being able to set your own schedule for each day? So rather than having a salary or wage job where your manager or your boss, he gives you your schedule, he gives you the tasks that he wants you to do for the day. The opposite of that as a freelancer is that you're at home and it's completely up to you what your daily schedule is. So how excited are you to set your own schedule? It may overwhelm you. Maybe you're not excited, but maybe you are. 1 being not excited at all, 10 being totally excited. Question number 4, is the thought of being in total control of your time exciting to you? Or is it overwhelming? So if you score anything below 5, then that's in the realm of overwhelm, where the thought of being in total control of your time is overwhelming. If you're anywhere between 5 and 10, that's kind of in the area of, oh, that sounds exciting. Question number 5 is, how willing are you to do your own marketing? When you're working for another company, they're finding all the work for you. They're doing all the sales, they're finding work for you, and then they're just giving you your tasks. All you have to do is show up and get paid. Some people prefer that. So how willing are you, because if you're a freelancer, if you own your own business, you have to do all your own marketing. You have to go out and find clients. You have to sell yourself. How willing are you to do that? I'm not asking how skilled are you at doing that, because the chances are, if you've never done it before, you don't have that skill. And so it might overwhelm you, the thought of having to do that, but how willing? That's a very different question than how high is your current skill level with sales or marketing. How willing are you to learn how to market and sell yourself? 10 being very willing, 1 being not at all. Question number 6 is, how good are you at keeping commitments to yourself? I'm talking about even the little commitments, like I'm going to exercise today, or I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. Whatever, all the little commitments you make to yourself every day and every week, how much of the time do you keep those commitments that you make to yourself? 10 being all the time, 1 being not at all. I asked this question because as a freelancer, you're going to be making a lot of your own commitments, and you have nobody else breathing down your back following up on you, which means you have to have the self-discipline to follow through with your own commitments and have a system in place to be able to do that. Obviously, I'll educate you on how to be better at that, but just kind of give yourself a score of where you're at now. How good are you with keeping commitments to yourself? Because this will help you analyze whether you're the type of person that will be okay with being your own boss, or whether you're the type of person that actually functions better when you have somebody else following up on you and the commitments you've made. Question number 7 is, how willing are you to integrate personal development into your daily life? By personal development, I mean you're reading books, you're listening to podcasts, you're exercising, you're working on developing yourself as a person. You're learning, you're gaining new education, you're learning new skills. As a business owner, as a freelancer, you're going to have to learn a lot of new skills. You're going to have to develop new capabilities and a new level of confidence, where you're now going to have to sell yourself as a business owner. So you have to develop yourself and work on yourself. How willing are you, 1 to 10, 1 being not at all willing, 10 being totally willing. How willing are you to put some time every day into developing yourself? Question number 8, how badly do you want to be able to be in total control of setting your own rates, of giving yourself a raise whenever you want, of basically determining your own value and then charging people for that value? How badly do you want that? 10, you really, really want that. 1, you don't want that at all. You'd rather somebody else just tell you what your hourly rate is going to be, or your wage, or your salary. Like, how willing are you how much do you want to be in control of, your income and your ability to increase that income? Okay, question number 9. How comfortable are you with the idea of not having a company providing you benefits like health insurance and retirement and paid vacations? That's the one that tends to keep people in corporate jobs because I've had many times where a vacation, especially at the beginning of my business, where a vacation came along and I'm like, wow, I can't afford to take this day off. I can't afford to take it off. Now, once you get things really going and you start bringing in enough money through your business, you can plan out your entire year to where you can have enough money to take vacations, to take holidays, where your rates have that factored in and your services have that factored in, so that essentially you are having paid vacations, and you can obviously factor in the fact that you have to save for retirement, that you have to pay for your own health insurance, that you do actually pay extra in taxes. So how willing are you to, how comfortable are you with the idea of not having a company providing all that to you? 10 being super comfortable with that idea, 1 being not at all comfortable with that. I assume that you're probably somewhere in the middle. I don't expect you to be a 10. I'm still not fully comfortable with the idea of the fact that I don't have somebody providing me benefits. Because yeah, it's hard, but once you get things going to a certain point, you can provide yourself those benefits and still have them. But yeah, how comfortable are you with having to basically provide those benefits to yourself? And question number 10, how comfortable are you with not receiving a standard paycheck every 2 weeks, where it's the exact same amount every 2 weeks coming from the company you're working for? Are you okay with that? Are you okay with sending out invoices and those invoices getting paid by clients? Are you okay with your income being a little more irregular? Now, let me just give a quick plug here. If you apply the principles that I teach on this channel, that I teach in my courses and my workshops, you'll see that you can absolutely create stability and predictability and consistency in your freelance business. To the point where you're well ahead of your finances, and even if you're having income coming in on a Monday, and then you're having other money coming in on Friday, and then even if you have money coming in randomly throughout the month, you're in a situation where you have stability and you're able to predict that because you're working with long-term clients. And that's something I'm sure I'll talk about in another video, where you establish a core base of clients that give you more predictable income rather than working on random projects. But that's a whole other topic, that's a whole other video. But just know that you can absolutely create predictability in your income as a freelancer. But are you okay with not having a guaranteed, 100% guaranteed, every 2 weeks you're gonna get the exact amount coming into your bank account through a check from your company? Are you okay with that? 10 being totally okay with that, 1 being not at all. So those are the 10 questions. Hopefully you wrote down your answers. Now I'm gonna tell you how to score it. Add up all the numbers. There's 10 questions. So the highest number score you could possibly have is 100, and the lowest you could possibly have is 10, with everything added up. And so if your score is 100, then you need to dive into freelancing ASAP. You're totally ready, you're 100% ready. Your passion will make things move very quickly, and your commitment, your willingness will make you learn very quickly. That does not mean go and quit your job tomorrow, okay? You need to have the right system in place and the right education before you go quitting your job, but that does mean you need to make this a top priority. All right, if your score is anywhere between 50 and 100, and I'd say if your score is anywhere between 80 and 100, then definitely make it a top priority. If your score is anywhere between 50 and 100, then there's a good chance that freelancing is the right path for you, that becoming a solopreneur is what you're meant to be. But if you're closer to the 50 range, then it may be something you need to kind of feel out over time, gradually, where you get some education, you talk to some other people who are freelancing, you start getting to know what it's like to be a freelancer, and just start taking some time every week to explore it. And there's a good chance that that is the right path for you, but you might need a more gradual approach, especially if you're closer to kind of the 50 range, between 50 and 75 of that score. If your score is between 25 and 50, then there's still a chance that freelancing is the right path for you, but you're not really at a place yet where you're willing to make it a top priority. And just start reading some books on it, start listening to some podcasts, watch some videos in your free time, start exploring the idea and let that idea start to build in your mind. But you don't need a high sense of urgency with it right now. Maybe one day it will be right for you. Right now may not be the best time. If you're anywhere between 25 and 50, it's not something you need to dive into immediately, but it still may be an option for you in the future. If your score is anywhere below 25, chances are freelancing is not for you. You're not in the right mindset to take that on. You don't have the willingness to learn what you need to learn, because a lot of the questions in this quiz weren't about your current level of skills related to freelancing, because I don't expect you to have many skills yet with it. What it was evaluating is your willingness to learn those skills and your willingness to see things a little bit differently. And so if your score is that low, if it's below 25, then you're not at all willing. I'm actually surprised you made it through this video if your score is that low, because you wouldn't have kept watching if you knew that freelancing was never even an option for you. And so chances are your score is 50 or above if you've watched through this video. And so that's how you can evaluate, and you can take that score and you can interpret it how you want and make a decision on whether it's something you need to pursue or not. Now, if it's something you want to pursue, watch out for my next video, which is going to come out in either a week or two, because that next video is going to give you 6 steps you need to take before you quit your job. My next video, watch out for it. It's going to be 6 steps you need to take to pursue freelancing before you quit your job. I hope that this video gave you clarity on what you need to do next, on whether freelancing is for you or not, and even if you don't have a final answer, you at least have more of an answer now and you can take the next step. Keep watching videos on this channel. Make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss a video. Go to airlight.tv. I have a free video masterclass called the Solopreneur Journey. It's a 3-hour video masterclass that you can get delivered to your email if you want to spend some more time with me learning about the foundations of freelancing. Comment below. I want to hear your thoughts. If you're a freelancer now, if you're successfully doing it or not, I want to hear your comments below so that we can have a conversation and learn from each other. Have a good day.